we have Francisca Nzanga from Kenya. So I know I would have said if we were in a call, I would have said, let's give her a round of applause. But I'm going to bring her on stage now. So thank you so much for joining us, Francisca. I'm so, like I said, I'm so honored to have you join us on the platform. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
So
also,
I don't know if there's
here.
Well, thank you. I think we've had a lot of or we've had quite a number of Kenyan guests. So I think Kenya is probably the leading country. We had Karen, we have Vivian, and they've all been wonderful speakers that everybody has been clamoring for them to come back. Probably one of these days we might do a round table with Kenyan guests, with just Kenyan guests, and I look forward to that happening. So I'm just going to, like I said, today I'm going to focus on making sure that we finish in exactly an hour. So yes. So let's start from the very beginning. So Francisca, I'm sure you've, like when I sent the pitch to you, and then the phrase there that was recurring was building to last. So when you hear that phrase, where does your mind go to first? Was there a person or a moment or a value from your upbringing that sort of planted that idea in you as a person?
Yes, and that's a really good question. And I was really excited when I heard from you asking me to come and speak to fellow entrepreneurs. So this is something that I enjoy doing. I love providing coaching and mentorship to other up and coming entrepreneurs and leaders. So I'm quite excited to have this conversation. Now, when you talk about building to last, it's definitely an exciting topic because I believe that is an area where we as Africans have sometimes struggled. When you think about and it's not just Africans actually, when you look at history, a lot of generational wealth does not go past the 3rd to 5th generation. And that's because the organizations and the legacy that has been built hasn't been built to last. And that is more so with a lot of African organizations where they don't actually go past the 1st generation. You find a leader, an entrepreneur, someone has built a great business, and when they pass on and the children take it over, what happens is wrangles, and they, everything tears apart. And that's really what we need to work on as leaders, is how can we build something that outlives us. But now bringing it down a bit to the level. When you're in an organization and you're overseeing a team, your role, you should always be looking at how do I outgrow my role. So you're looking at how do I coach, nurture, and mentor someone within my team to take it on. One of my biggest mantras as an individual is to make sure that when I exit a role, I have someone who I have already groomed and nurtured to take it over. And I'm really honored to say that I've done that 90% of the time. I've been able to transition quite early and was able to mentor and nurture and put them over the position. So you're building a continuous support. But beyond that, it's not just the people. The core thing about building an organization to last is the systems and the processes, and that's really where my heart sits in operations. You need to make sure that the systems in place can operate even when you're not there. The systems are structures already in place that your organization is running like or your department is running like a well-oiled machine. So you don't have to constantly be the one to guide the team on what they need to do, because there's already certain structures that have been set that can continuously do it. So I'll give you a practical example. I don't know if you've ever had a situation where you order something, a meal, or you've been to a restaurant, but the food that you eat will vary depending on the chef. So if a certain chef is there, it tastes very good. If the chef not, it doesn't taste good. And that's and that will actually make you leave the restaurant, and that's because the owner of the restaurant didn't set a certain cadence, right? The same happens with some drinks. When you order some drinks from a store, you find that some of the containers, some of the bottles taste different. That's because the system structures that were set up in the organization were not consistent, right? So building to last means you're building an organization that outlives you, that doesn't require you to produce quality, because you've put in the right systems, the right structures in place, because people will come and go. So it cannot be dependent on a person, but it needs to be dependent on, it needs to be able to operate. You need to have SOPs in place. You need to have clear guidelines, clear structures, clear procedures. Everything needs to be well outlined, such that you are able to step away from the day-to-day and instead focus on now the broader perspective of partnerships and investors and all that. So I've said a lot there, but yeah, there's a lot of different things that came to mind when you talk about build to last.
Okay, thank you so much, Francisca. I think it's good that you're constantly emphasizing the need for us as leaders, professional models. I was reading your recently published Instagram and LinkedIn article on design to operate, and I think it's almost the same thing you're saying here, that your meeting structures, the way things are structured, should be arranged in a way that there's some continuity actually, that this thing is not just something that, like you give the example of the chef, when you're in the full intro, and I think it's something that calls for us to reflect as people. That so yes, like the second part of my question was basically, was there a point in your life, or was there a moment, or was there something that redefined it?
Well, yes, there is a point. I think I'll say there are several points really, but what made me want to set up things that outlast is when my father passed away. He passed away when I was very young. I was still in primary school, and my mom was the sole breadwinner for that period of time, right? And so having her as the sole breadwinner meant that she, at the time, who was just, she was doing different things to be able to provide for the family. But when I reflect back, I realized that there's a lot of things that my dad had set up when he was still alive, that while yes, my mom still had to work and figure out a way to provide for my family, but she did have some basic things. We had a house already. We had some things that were already working for her, so she wasn't starting from zero. And I think that's a really important element of it, because a lot of the values that you have and the approaches you take to the work that you do stems from your upbringing and from how you're nurtured. Your leadership, you learn leadership at home from seeing your parents as leaders. And so that for me is, I'll say what really cemented it is the element of one, knowing that some basic structures were there, but also two, knowing that my mom was prepared and ready to also handle the situation as it came about. And so if you think about that situation, and now when you look at a business, what happens when your top salesperson leads? What happens when your co-founder leads? Because co-founders, they have fights and they separate every day. What happens when, let's say, a new government regulation gets released? Are you ready? And is your business, are you able to weather that storm? Are you able to survive through it? And so that's where the element of making sure that you structures now, and you as a leader are thinking 5-7 years ahead, and you're also taking into account some of these risk factors and being aware of what is happening around you.
Okay. All right. So there's this thing I like doing. So I like taking us back a bit and then taking us to present day. So the early days of your work, when you were just starting out, what did lasting look like to you back then? And like, are there ways that you have evolved? You say there's been like a change. You've gone from point A to point B in discovering this. Could you share that with us? So But those of us that are still on our journey, we could be able to speak where we are at this point.
That's a really, really interesting question. I would say when I started, and the beauty of being very young, I would say I'm still young, but being very young is, I would say, the confidence that you have. When the older you get, the more you see how things can go wrong, because you experience them going wrong, or you see it with your friends, with your colleagues, with your with you basically people in your space, with other founders. And so when you're aware of it, you tend to become a little bit more cautious. So when I was just starting out in my career, what I knew is what I didn't want to do, but I was never clear on what I wanted to do. And so I was just trying out a couple of different things. I would speak to people in different departments, and then of course my heart fell in love with operations, and that's now where I settled. And what I'll say, the beauty about being young is that you're not seeing any risk. All you're seeing potential. All you're seeing is possibilities, and so you're constantly learning, constantly going out there, putting yourself out there. I realize that as you grow older and as you experience life, that optimism can slowly begin to dip if you're not careful. And yes, it's good to be cautious, but the world can very quickly change that perspective. And so what I'll say I've learned to do differently now is to be more optimistic, to think more, this will succeed, or yes, I'm going to try it, or yes, I'm going to do it, which wasn't there when I was, as you're saying, when you're growing up. So it's learning how to be tactful, but not lose that childlike wonder and imagination that you have, and just really being willing to just try it out and see how it goes.
All right, so I'm just going to flow into my next question. I know that normally when you're trying to build, there are times where we're mixed with some challenges. Well, I think we hit a moment where things get fragile, where things feel shaky, and we're at the point at crossroads. Should we continue building, or should we just abandon this and start again? Or do we throw everything away? So can you probably share with us a time where you questioned the journey you were on? Could this last? And could you share with us what got you through that moment, or something that helped you get past that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this actually ties very well with what I shared earlier as well, that when you go through life, you experience different things, right? And then that might make you a little bit more pessimistic about how things are. And there's two sides to it, right? So there's the element of you're hitting a speed bump on the road, right? And it might not mean that that's a stopping point. It's more like a learning. So I'm a big believer in God redirecting you in the right path, right? And so if something doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that it's a failing. It just means that this is not the path you should be on. Maybe you need to take this direction, or maybe there's a reason why you didn't work with this client. You should have worked with this other one instead, or there's something else and better, bigger that's coming up. And that's also come to the fact that I've seen scenarios where something didn't work out and you beat yourself up about it, and later on you find out, oh, that company was actually struggling. And it's a good thing that we didn't partner. It's a good thing we didn't work together at the time, because then you would have gotten entangled in something. But that's one side of it. And I think it's really important to take a moment to reflect. We tend to be, as humans, our instinct is to jump in and do more. How can I this is happening, what can I do? And you constantly want to do more. But there's a lot of wisdom in taking a step back and thinking and reflecting through it and saying, okay, what am I learning from this? What is happening right now? What am I taking from this? What message is this particular struggle giving me? Because some struggles are the universe telling you, you need to rest, you need to take a break. Or some struggles are the universe redirecting you. And it's true also that there are some struggles that are actually telling you that, you know what, this point where you've reached, this business is not viable. Yeah. And that one is more like let's say a sunk cost. Now, when you've worked on an organization for, let's say, a year or 2 years, you've put in your money, you've probably gone to the extent of taking a loan, borrow from family, and it's just not working, right? And there's that belief of, I just need to put in more money, I just need to put in more time, I just need to do more. It's important as a leader to identify when it's time to walk away, when it's time to pause, and when it's time to pivot. Now, there's not like a clear guideline on which is which, but that moment of reflection will help you get clarity on what you need to do for your organization. Because there are times when you need to pause on something, there's a time when you need to maybe take a different direction, or maybe there's a different product that you need to focus on. Most organizations, by the way, the first product that they take to market is not the final product that they end up growing with, right? That I think every organization that I've spoken to, every founder I've spoken to, what they went to market with is not what they eventually scaled with. And so it's good to take a moment and see, what am I learning from this and how can I redirect? Now, the other thing to also keep in mind is that sometimes you put in so much money that it becomes hard to walk away when the ship is sinking. Yes. The best way to realize that is to have your own council of governors, let me say. I have friends who I reach out to when I need this person to give me the hard truth. This person, I know I go to them when I need motivation. There's this person who I need to distract me from life. Because you need to have a council of governors who have clear roles, and not roles in the sense of like, okay, now you have responsibility, but rather people who you can speak to, maybe other fellow founders who you can engage with and learn from them. And also having mentors, especially mentors who have been where you are, who have excelled, who are much older than you. They can give you a lot of that guidance and wisdom, where you're probably too deep ingrained into what's happening that you can't see that this is actually a sinking ship and you need to walk away. So so that's usually just how I've approached it. But then again, in the moments where it's the universe or it's telling you to pivot, or to maybe it's just a hard day, maybe you're just having a really hard day, there's two so I am really faith-based, and so there's two that I like to remind myself. So one is Psalms 121. I look up to the mountain, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And then there's also Matthew 11:28-30. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And so always reminding yourself of these things, that sometimes maybe what you just need is, you know what, God, this one, I'm giving it to you, and I am going to sleep, and I will deal with this in the morning. And then there are also sometimes when you just need to, okay, I don't know what's happening, so God, help me figure it out. Please, help me figure it out, guide me on how to go about this, and usually the answer will come.
So I think it's really like a profound system, having people that you can always lean on as a leader who's intending to do something that outlives you. I think it's really important that you have trusted mentors, peers, elders that you can always lean on for clarity, for courage, and for correction. And you should be able to take the hard truth, which is something most of us must struggle with, like she explained earlier, that most of us have gone really deep into this, and it's usually hard to pull out. So having like a council of advisors is a good way to make sure that you're not just doing things on your own, you're also having like the view of people that are outside it, give you like an unbiased view, so you can also make decisions. So thank you so much um for putting that out there for us. So I think those of us that are just joining, we've spoken about building or replicating whatever you have around people that are under you or people that are around you, so that even in your absence, these people can easily replicate the things that you would do. And then we also spoken about having like a profound system that you can lean on. So yes, so I'm going to bring this to something that is seen in the African climb. Most times we have founders of NGOs, we have leaders that are trying to start up, and we've seen the issue of the constraints in resources. Resources here is me speaking loosely because we understand that time, for some people it may be time, for some people it could be money, for some people it's actually having people around them that are scarce. So how do we make these limited resources that we have around us deliver lasting impact? How do we make this last? Even in like maybe with job scarcity.
Yeah. Being definitely when you're starting off as a founder, you have to learn to be scrappy. You have to find a way to really work with what you have, and you find that what you have is often enough. There's different ways you can go about it. So for example, when it comes to time, the element of time is about how you can replicate yourself. So replicating yourself, then you look at, are there systems that I can use to automate certain processes? So let's say, for example, even scheduling an event like this, as people register for the event, you don't have to be the one to respond to every single email that comes in. You can put an automated system with a template where it will even very personalize a response to everyone. And there, you've saved yourself probably 30 minutes to an hour, which you could use doing something else. It's also important as a leader to be mindful of where your strengths are and what you're good at, and what you're not the best at, and what you can outsource. Now, there's certain things that if it's very core to the business but it's not your strength, having advisors to guide you or having a co-founder who that is their area of strength is very important. So I know sometimes we start organizations and it's you're the sole founder and it's your baby, but if it's possible to find a co-founder, someone you can work with, it really helps to offload the burden, because then you have a thought partner, you have someone who's in it with you, you have someone who can really help you brainstorm through ideas and can also take off the lead on certain things going on. And so that you're both in it, so it's not one person is being paid versus another. But then in terms also of resources, we need to also be mindful of the fact that maybe you're a founder who's coming from a large organization which had a lot of resources, and by the time you're trying to start your own organization, you may not have that a level of resources yet. So what can you start with? So you can always start with something. There are a lot of free packages, a lot of free email platforms that you can leverage. There's a lot of free let me say project management softwares that you can leverage. There are a lot of automation tools that you can leverage. So there's different platforms out there that have free versions which you can take advantage of. And then also there's a lot of organizations that provide credits to startups where you can use their platform for free for a period of time. So there's a lot of different platforms out there. If someone needs guidance or assistance on knowing which one is which, I'm also happy to support on that. But take some time to do your research and see. You don't have to pay for everything. And also, where you can, find people who are mission aligned who can work with you and could help you grow your business. You definitely won't start a business with 100 staff or director level staff members, but you can start with what you have now and grow from there. one of the interesting things that I like to share is about how Airbnb, when they started off, they were going, knocking literally door to door to find out if people will be willing to host others before they had the platforms and all of that. So they didn't start as a big organization that we see now. So start with what you go from there.
All right. So that's very lovely. So my next question, I'm just trying to quickly link my questions so that we can also round up on time. So there's the challenge that most founders or African leaders are faced with. And yes, we're trying to build a leadership or legacy that outlasts us. But then there's the issue, like you spoke about time. I understand that, yes, there's a time management, and then you really can't control so much when it comes to time. You can't put a pause button on time. It keeps running.
Time
but then
doesn't
there's
stop.
the issue that you have with, or that people have with trying to build something fast, because you know that, we have very limited time here. So you're trying to build something fast, but then you're also trying to build something that is sustainable. There's the challenge of speed versus sustainability. You're trying to build something that is sustainable, but you're trying to build that fast. So how do you manage tipping scales of speed and balance? So how do you manage those moments where you know this has to work fast because there's a lot that you have to do, but then you also understand that to do something like this requires a lot of patience? How do you manage that conundrum that most people find themselves in?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. And the truth of it is that we're trying to build fast. Sometimes the pressure that we have is pressure that we put on ourselves. Yes, sometimes it's the investors or the partners that we have who are really pushing us to do something. But then a lot of the times it's us putting unnecessary pressure on ourselves. So it's a what do I say? There are two sides to it. There's the element of first mover advantage, whereby you're trying to build something, but you don't want maybe a competitor or someone who's heard about what you're doing go to the market first. But then we also need to remember that some organizations like Gmail came after Yahoo and others. And there's a lot of other players in the market who came after others. There was an organization, actually a really large international consulting firm that I was speaking to some time back, and they mentioned that their strategy isn't actually a first mover advantage. They let the other company go first, warm the market up, and then when the market is warmed, then they come, right? So I think it's important to first make sure that you have a working prototype of whatever your product or solution is, and that you have the right product market fit. If you're very quick to go to the market, you risk creating something that your market doesn't actually want. So I would actually spend more time speaking to the speaking to the customers that I have, speaking to the people who really who are going to be the end users of my solution, and finding out, am I actually helping them? Am I feeding an actual need? Am I solving an actual problem that they have? How are they finding it? What do they think about it? Is it working? And when you have the right product market fit, the moment you get into the market, with a proper marketing channels and all that, it will pick up. So I'll say focus more on that. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much, Francisca. Thank you so much. It's really lovely. I'm enjoying the whole conversation, and I can't really take notes right now because I'm moderating from the back end, but really it's been really, really insightful. speaking with you. So I'm just going to go in with this one. Is there like maybe one piece of advice that you've received from your counsel that you have been able to like let's say rewrite for yourself
Mhm.
in this journey of building to last? Like something that has really reshaped how you saw things. I just want to point out to people like the whole importance of having this counsel around them.
Yeah. It was hard to actually narrow down on one key thing because
You
I was
can share too.
because I was actually looking at my notes and I was trying to figure out, okay, do I share this? Do I share that? What do I say? But there's quite a bit, right? And I think for me, the biggest lesson I've had in even just running Mama Zanzi is first giving myself the space to know that I don't have to do it by myself. It doesn't have to be an endeavor that I am the everybody, because sometimes we try to take let me say it, we kind of romanticize it a bit, right? Like I'm the clerk, I'm also the finance, I'm also the CEO, I'm the COO, I'm this or that. But the truth of the matter is that you can't really let go if you're doing everything, and then also you don't have all the skills to do everything for your business. So being able to get a co-founder who you can work with if possible. Of course, there's organizations that are successful where there's only one founder, but if you can get a co-founder who can share the load and also take on some of the responsibilities, that helps. But then also take the time to get the right people to support your business. You don't have to start with full-time staff. You can also get consultants. You can get other people who believe in your vision and are willing to work with you. You can take that approach as well. But then now also putting on my operations hat as well, you need to, I think the most, I said, I've gotten a lot of great advice, but one that stuck with me was a mentor who said that your team, people can do more damage to your organization than any government. And if you've run an organization, or if you've even just hang around founders, you know that's very true. A person can actually really cripple your organization if you have the wrong person. There's been a lot of cases where you have you start a company with someone and then they steal your materials and then they go and start a competing organization. And so you need to make sure that you set the right structures within your organization. You need to make sure that you have the right policies and systems in place that allows your organization to run smoothly, but also ethically. So you need to make sure you're hiring the right people that are sharing your vision and building your organization, rather than maybe poaching your clients. And that requires a lot of intentionality. Take the time to hire right. Even though you don't have a really large budget, take the time to hire right. When you have the right people, you can grow so well. When you have the wrong people in your organization will struggle. And then the final thought that just to also give room for other questions is, as a leader, you need to work on your business and not in your business. So even as you hire the right people, you need to hire in a way that you can offload some of the responsibilities from you to someone else, so that you can be thinking more high level, more strategically. And then you also need to set up the right systems, right automations, have the right SOPs, that is standard operating procedures in place, the right policies in place, the right quality checks in place, especially if you're in the food industry, make sure that your quality assurance is on point, and you're checking for different things. And if you have that outlined, at least and also in a that you have fail safes that trigger when something isn't working well. Yeah. You have that, then it makes the organization able to run smoother. It gives you peace of mind and gives you the space to now focus on how do I do this. Yeah.
All right. So I think we're having some questions coming
Okay.
already. Yeah, we're having some questions coming. I don't know if we should. So you guys, if you have a question, you can start sending it in right now. So we would take. I don't think we'll take more than 4 questions, except maybe they're really short questions. So please, if you have a question, please send them now. I'm going to let the banner scroll. So please send in your questions so she can answer them. So we have a question now from Kunle Temitope. So I'm just going to display it on the screen and I'm going to read and then you can answer. So Kunle is saying everything is fast moving these days and leaders often feel pressure to keep going. How can we build the discipline to recognize when stopping is the smarter way?
Yes. And that is a really good question. It's not, I wouldn't say it's really discipline on your side, but more of where the council of governors come in. Because when you spend so much time, like your business is your baby, it's your child. You put in so much time and effort. And sometimes all you need, there's always this meme on social media about someone who's digging and then they give up just before they get to the diamond. And so I know as founders, sometimes we're like, okay, I need to keep going. And it's true. Sometimes when you keep at it long enough, you're able to tweak the model to a way that it's actually become successful. But then there are situations where you find someone has mortgaged their house, they've sold their car, they've they've given out their title deed, they've taken so much loans that to the extent where you are almost, debt collectors are at your door, you're going bankrupt, you can't pay people your kids, you're struggling to get food. So at that point, for sure, something red flags. But then keep in mind that you don't want to get to that point. So I'm assuming your question is, how do you avoid getting to that point? Yeah, and that's where your council of governors come in. Sit down with them. Now, of course, always filter advice because people are giving you advice from their own point of view. Hence, have more than one council of governor. But speak to them, share with them what you're feeling, what is going on with the council of governor, and you'll find that your council, especially, and your mentor, especially if they're seasoned leaders, seasoned entrepreneurs, that is in organizations, they can really help you identify whether this is a sunken cost, this is something that you actually need to cut and run, or if this is something that you need to maybe keep at it a little bit, but maybe change tact, change strategy, or find a new partner. So that will help. And as you speak to these different mentors, also when you get the insight, take some time to also just sit with yourself and reflect through the moment that you're at right now and what you're going through and what's happening. And usually the answer is already there. It's just that you don't want to fix it. So it's thinking about, am I really cutting and running because it's hard and I don't want to deal with the hardness, or have I actually done everything that I can? And I've spoken to everyone, and every advice that I'm getting, I have already done. And so at this point, it's costing me my family, it's costing me my health, it's costing me, X, Y, and Z. And maybe I do need to actually take a break. And sometimes it's maybe just taking a pause. It doesn't mean you have to cut it. But yeah, your counsel will really help.
Okay, thank you so much. So, like she has said, we shouldn't wait till it gets to a very dire situation. We should be able to have the discipline to see when things are going south and quickly take a pause. So we have another person. I think people are really finding this your council of advisors really. I'm seeing another question. So next question is from Oji. As a young female student leader, I'm learning to seek guidance from advisors. But sometimes I feel my advisors may not fully understand my vision, or they even give advice that doesn't fit the situation. So from your experience, how should leader balance respecting advisors while staying true to their own vision?
Well, I mean, when you talk about respecting advisors, it means when they're speaking and they're giving you the advice, you're listening. But it doesn't always mean that you have to follow what they do, right? Like advice is just that advice. Just the same way when you give someone advice, they don't have to do exactly what you said. You don't actually have to follow it, and your advisor, especially if they're senior, would understand. So the essence of advice is that I am just giving you my opinion based on my situation and my experience. It's up to you to decide whether you're going to take that opinion as it is and use it, or you're going to tweak it, or you're going to just not do it altogether. Now, you understand the situation, so you're best placed to make the final decision, because at the end of the day, if you do what your advisor said and it goes horribly, you only have yourself to blame. And that's the thing about advice. So it's still, at the end of the day, ultimately your decision. But now, a key thing there, what I'm reading from what you've written, is that they do understand your vision and it doesn't fit the script, which tells me that you might have the wrong kind of advisors. It's important to know that advisors will always change depending on where you are in your journey. When I was a student in university, the advisors I had at the time were not the type of advisors I had when I was getting into management. When I was becoming director level, the type of advisors I had were very different. Becoming a COO, the advisors I had were also very different people. So it's also important to know that your advisors will not be the same people, and that's okay. And usually advisors are, what do I say? It's mutual beneficial, right? And you can't be a manager and have, let's say, a CEO or entry level have a CEO. It's the frame, the level of input that they're giving might not really translate to your current situation, because they're a bit more far removed. So you also need to make sure that you have the right advisors depending on the situation that you're in. So for example, when I'm running my organization, I have advisors who have run organizations. But when I'm in employment or when I was working in my career, I had advisors who have excelled and grown in their career because they understood that. And so it's different frames of mind. And so you need to find out or think with yourself, do you have the right type of advisor? Or maybe you do, but you have the right type of advisor for a specific thing and not every situation. And so that's why we call it a council of governors and not just like one person, because different people bring different perspectives on different things. Even in personal life, I have people who I go to when I need a parenting advice or just someone to brainstorm around parenting matters. But it's not necessarily the same person I'll go to when I'm trying to sort out something in the business. So you have to make sure that you have the right advisor, or rather you are aware of the type of advisor that you need for this phase in your life, and that the advisor that you need for this phase in your life, and that also what are they bringing and what are they giving? Because again, mentorship is always mutually beneficial. So what role are they playing? Are they helping you in terms of career progression? Are they helping you in terms of setting up a business? Are there expertise in terms of this? Because also for me personally, I can't be an advisor for everyone because there are certain things that aren't really my area of expertise. And so if I was to give you advice on it, I wouldn't give you the right advice for it.
All right. So like we heard from Francisca, it's okay to constantly, you don't have to drink from one fountain constantly when it comes to getting wisdom. You have different people to lean on. It's like having it's more like seasonal fruits. This is for this season, this is for this season, this is for this season, and this keeps us going to make sure that we are not we're having a balanced diet rather. So I think we have one more question. I don't know if we have any other questions, but like I said, as we progress the conversation, we are trying to make sure that we are done in 1 hour. I promise, Francisca, and I intend to keep my word. So yes, we have a next question. So saying thank you, Francisca. I'm enjoying my time here. I was inspired by your point about replicating yourself to build something that lasts. I wonder, have you invested in people and they eventually leave, or when you feel you need to hold back certain responsibilities, how do you decide what to pass on and what to keep to yourself so the vision remains strong?
Okay, this is a very important question, and I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying the session. So when it comes to, I'll start with the last question. How do you decide what to pass on and what to keep for yourself so the vision remains strong? You need to, so it depends on what is your role in the organization. If you're the leader, the founder of the organization, of course, bringing in the business, bringing in the clients, bringing in the partners, that is your responsibility. And if you have co-founders, of course, you need to align on who's going to be leading that, or all of you are going to be leading that. But you need to, that is important, because if you don't have customers, then you don't have a business, because you need money coming in. But so the thing is to think about it in two key ways. Is it something that you, or actually three key ways? Is it something that you enjoy doing? Is it something that you're good at? And is it mission critical? If it's something that's mission critical, you definitely need to keep it for yourself or for one of your fellow co-founders. Make sure you have really key oversight on it. Is it something that you enjoy doing and is mission critical? Definitely keep it for yourself. Is it something that, of course, you need to also keep it for yourself. If it's something that you enjoy doing, that is, it takes you 5 minutes to do, then that's fine. If it's something that you do not enjoy doing at all, you can always outsource that, get someone else to do it, or automate it, or get a volunteer or a consultant that you can work with on it. And if it's something that maybe you're not really good at it, you can always get someone else to lead it, and then maybe you just stay abreast on what is happening, because there's some things that, yes, we all enjoy. Maybe it's something that you like doing it, but if you were to do it, it will take you an hour, versus if you hired someone to do it, it will take you 15 minutes. So it's a bit of a give and take. So you might as well let someone else handle it, but you stay close enough to it to keep a touch point on it. And then to the earlier question of have you invested in people and they eventually leave, or when you feel, okay, yes. I have had people leave, both when I was employed and running my own organization. And you should actually be, I think it's hard to have people leave because you've worked together, you put in time. Maybe your vision was that this person is going to take over my role as I transition. But then you should be happy for them if they're growing in their role. Because the world, I believe, is very circular, and a lot of them will, at some point, your path will cross. You will come back and meet again at some point, or you'll work on something else in another organization, or maybe they'll join your organization later. So it's good to learn to not take things personally. If the person is leaving, they're leaving for a better opportunity that works for them, and that's okay. And just wish them well, have a very cordial professional exit where you've made sure all the handover has been done properly and everything has been done professionally. But keep in mind that it's, at the end of the day, it's an organization. You may be the leader, but to them you are an organization that they're working for this period of time, and then they need to move on to their next journey in life. And that's okay, and we should be happy for them. But then it also boils down to the earlier point around building the structure. So you were talking about the post that I did on LinkedIn about designed to operate. Is your organization designed to operate? So was your organization fully dependent on this person being there? And is that why you're worried about them leaving? Because that means that you've created a dependency clutch. And what you need to do is have everything well documented. If it's, let's say you're making and your chef leaves, do you have the ingredients down to the quantities, to the timing? do you have that somewhere that you else can come and continue? Because you need to be very mindful of what your business needs to run, and you need to document and the right structures. Again, going back to structures and systems, this is what design to operate is all about. You need to have the right systems in place, and again, it's also one of the things that I'm doing here is helping organizations set up their operational systems, so that in scenarios where someone is something happens, at least you have the right documentation to continue moving. But if they leave, wish them well.
All right, thank you so much, Francisca. You've left us with so much. You've left us with so much. We're very passionate about. I know in the beginning there's something that you spoke about. I think you said it just passively, but then I would just highlight that for those of them that may be joining late. I think when we were discussing at the beginning, you spoke about like the African struggle with maintaining legacies that last beyond individuals. And I just want to say that this is something that we are committed to at AGID. That's why we have these conversations. That's why we have this, bringing people from different walks of life, from different countries to share insights to help and guide people. So like I announced on social media, we're going to be having we created a checklist for leaders who are interested. So please, if you joined till this point, I'm just going to put it here. Please, on the community, just indicate and we will send you the complete checklist. Of course, we're going to also update it with some things that Francisca has shared, like I said, multiple council of advisors here. So we're going to bring in her own words of wisdom and also like send it across to those of us that have been able to attend. So Francisca, I promised you that we're going to stay for 1 hour. So do you have any final words for as we close? Do you have any final words for us?
Yes, I do. And it's interesting to hear about the community that you have. That's amazing. I'm glad that you're doing that. And of course, as I mentioned, if anyone needs support on the upside, I am very happy to offer additional support on that. But
thank you.
Final words of wisdom. Oh, and just to add, you talked about design to operate. So I do share a lot of insight pieces on my website, franciscazanga.com. So if you go there, you'll find a lot of thought pieces there as well, under the design to operate tab. But final words of wisdom. I know I've shared a lot and there's a lot, and being a founder is hard. It's lonely. So just remember that you have what it takes and you can do it, and to just give yourself grace. At the end of it all, it's just about giving yourself grace. Whether it's a pivot, whether it's a pause, whether it's a halt altogether, just give yourself grace, knowing that you did, that you're an amazing individual and you are designed for greatness and you will achieve greatness.
Wow. Thank you so much, Francisca. I really appreciate you having or granting us the opportunity for us to have this chat together. So I know I'm seeing thanks in the comment section. Everyone is saying thank you so much, Francisca. We've enjoyed the conversation and it's been really insightful, and we are grateful as an organization. I know our founder would usually be here, but he also sends his regards and he's also grateful for you joining us. So before we go, I want us to sit with the things. She shared a lot of things, like I said, and the videos are going to be available on YouTube, so we can always go back to rewatch it. But we have to put structures in place. Francisca has spoken a lot about structures, models in place. So as we're building, we have to make sure that these things are constantly put in place, and we must learn to replicate ourselves, to surround ourselves with council of advisors. She also specified that we don't have to constantly lean on this set of people, because as we grow, our needs change, so we should not be afraid to upgrade. So thank you so much, Francisca. I am really grateful. This was a truly generous, truly generous um, conversation. Thank you so much to everyone. Like, just commended the community, and things are going to be sent there. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined in. I promised us we were going to spend 1 hour, and I'm really glad that we are just in the brief of time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
We
you for
have
having
this
me.
every month. So, Francisca, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having you again. Like I said, we are going to work on that panel discussion, and I'm going to look for a way where we can have you guys sit together and share. Because, to be honest, it has really, like I said, we've had these people and they've not fallen short of our expectations, and you just held that ceiling. And so, thank you so much, Francisca. We really appreciate. Thank you for sharing with us and for not holding back, sharing your personal stories and everything. We really appreciate it. So all our guests, thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for your wonderful questions. I saw some questions and I didn't even think of that when I was putting together the questions for Francisca, but thank you so much for sharing your questions. Thank you for availing us your time. Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of our stream. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody. Until we meet again. So keep glued to our website and to our mails and our community. Further updates will be coming. I've sent Francisca's website the chat box, so you can quickly go in there and check what she has out. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely evening.